Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's Next Gen Planners Morning Commute. Hope everyone's looking forward to a Friday. It's the end of the week, although oftentimes right now it's difficult to know where in the week we actually are. But I'm going to call this the end of the week and wish everybody an enjoyable weekend already. Phil, what have you got planned for the weekend?
Bit of wine, that would be nice. I'm trying not to drink during the week, take one of Steve's tips and not drink during the week. And I'm going to continue with my daughter's chess lessons. We've resolved during lockdown to teach her how to play chess. So we're going to she's only 7, bless her, so we're going to carry on with that.
Very good. So how many times has she beaten you so far?
Oh, quite a few. I'm not sure what that says about my competitive nature if I've not let her beat me. She'll get there.
What have we got on the show today?
What do we have on the show today? Well, we've got Ollie going to do the news for us shortly. We've got Chris Budd's usual thought for the day. Caroline Stewart, in-depth interview. And Steve is going to be giving us more well-being tips, keeping us fit and healthy during lockdown.
Excellent. I think a lot of people will notice we're just trying out our new matrix effects as we go through this morning. So Phil, I don't know if everybody experienced you in ultra slow motion there, but that was a new experience at least. So let's head over to Ollie at the news desk.
Thanks so much, Adam, and morning, everyone. Just on markets first, it's dividend day, really. I mean, today's the day where the dividends they're all up for grabs, or not, as the case may be. FTSE 100 is down as shares in insurers suffer renewed falls after the EU's regulator called for dividends to be suspended. The UK blue chip index has dropped 36 points, or 0.7% to 5440. With insurers among the worst hit there. We'll be monitoring that throughout the day. And speaking of dividends, there is actually good news for investors in Standard Life Aberdeen, which is committed to paying a £300 million dividend. Apparently, directors at the asset manager agreed to press ahead with the payout during a remote meeting conducted earlier this week. So it turns out we're not the only one doing everything over Zoom. And then thirdly, up to date, we have quite an interesting piece from our colleague Ian Horn, who's our head of UK audience development. He's spoken to Tony Bates at IDEX Consulting. Tony is a recruiter of financial advisors, and he says that his business, once healthy with around 30 staff, has had 80% of its workload wiped out by the pandemic, and that he is actually regrettably furloughing a lot of people now. He says there's never been a worse time to be working in recruitment, particularly in financial advice. But he says, and this is well worth a look for anyone who has urgent workload requirements, it could be a very good time to hire. Reduced competition in the workforce marketplace means that now could be a very good moment to start looking for people to enhance the quality of your work. People generally are getting fewer offers, so it could mean that you could bag a bargain in that sense. And then just finally, this is a sort of pivot from our usual run of things, but Citywire's Director of Content, Richard Lander, has quite a sort of famous connection in the family. His brother Nicholas is the FT's food correspondent. So Richard has been talking to some people in the hospitality sector to get their perspective on how food and drink and bars and food companies and marketplaces have been impacted by the lockdown. He's spoken to Jonathan Downey, who's the chief executive of the Street Feast Food Markets Group, to find out how he's coping with his situation. And he says that the industry has been absolutely devastated by the Prime Minister's announcement that people should stop going out, and that the government should enforce a debt moratorium so that people can get protection from creditors for a set period of time. All those stories now on our news bulletin, about to hit your inboxes in the next 5 to 10 minutes. I'll be disappearing to do that shortly. But one final thing to say to listeners is that I'll be starting a new page in the magazine called How to Spend It. Nothing to do with your money, nothing to do with clients' drawdown plans. We're looking at time this time. Everyone is now time rich. So I want to know from you guys what you're doing to make the most of your time in lockdown. So do get in touch with us at news@citywire.co.uk if you have some input for that new page.
Ollie, that sounds great. Looking forward to that. And we've got Tony from IDEX actually on the show just after Easter. So he'll be able to share a lot more about his experiences there. So thank you to that. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, guys.
And now we go straight over to Chris Budd's Bunker for his wellbeing thought for the day. How are you doing today, Chris?
Morning, Adam. Very good, thank you. So today I'm going to just tell you a few books that you might want to read. If you've been finding some of this financial wellbeing stuff quite interesting, then where can you get more information about this? Well, where do we start? Let's start off with a slightly, what sounds like a depressing one, but it's not, it's quite uplifting. I hope you would all see that. Okay, top 5 regrets of a dying. A nurse in, I think it's Australia, noted all the things that people that she was in palliative care with regretted about their life. And it's actually a really uplifting book because it tells you what we should be focusing on. And guess what? It's not money and investments. Then we've got the one that started it all for me, Wellbeing by Rath and Harter. So that one is all about the 5 parts to wellbeing, which are career, social, financial, physical, and community. And if you think that was impressive, they're written on the back. And that book takes a whole lot of Gallup surveys and summarizes what they have told us over decades and decades about well-being. That's a fantastic book. That's the one that I would particularly recommend. I haven't talked yet about philanthropy, but I will be doing at some point. But that's a really, really good book on giving, on philanthropy, why giving is good for you. It's quite a thick book, that one. So that's for the people that do like this non-fiction stuff. But it's absolutely fascinating. Philanthropy is something we should be doing a bit more, I would suggest. That one is a bit behavioral biased. So how we can make it easy to be happy is the bit on the back. All about our behaviors and how they make us less than happy. So that's quite a fun read. That one, The Science of Happiness, that's written by a whole load of, would you believe, scientists. And that's quite a technical look at happiness. Probably not the easiest of reads or the most fun read, but one of the most interesting in some of the stuff that gives out. And then, of course, I couldn't possibly go without mentioning a certain other book, could I? And if you haven't got a copy of that, then for goodness sakes, hurry up and get one. But in all seriousness, that's my book on financial wellbeing, and a couple of other things to have a look at. There's some really good podcasts around. Mr. Money Moustache, I think, is a really interesting guy in America. It's been a bit of a movement in America of people who have been working out that they don't need as much money as they thought they did by a long way. So his podcast is interesting. Of course, I'd have to mention the Financial Wellbeing podcast with our very own Tom Morris. And I'm just sending on the link. The Initiative for Financial Wellbeing, we started a few months ago. We've already got 150 members doing lots of interesting things. So come and have a look at us as well. Thank you very much. And I hope the shirt is peaked by the end of the week.
Thanks, Chris. Your shirt is fabulous. It might be worth, if you could, maybe putting those titles and the authors into the chat function. That would be really good. If you could do that over the next few minutes, that would be really, really helpful for people.
I have a question for Chris, if I may, actually.
You
Chris,
go for it.
If all of those titles, if we were to download one of those this weekend, which one would you say we should pick?
Well, I'd love to say mine, but you can't download it. Well, actually, you might be able to. I don't actually know. But I would definitely say that one. I think that's such a fascinating book, and it's written really easily to read as well. So that's the one that started it all for me. When I first thought the idea for my book, I Googled financial wellbeing, and that was one of only 2 entries. So for me, that one is the best.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Cheers, Chris. If you could put those in there, that would be marvellous. So I want to introduce today's guest, Caroline Stewart from Sparrow Power Planning. Thank you for joining us, Caroline. How are you doing during lockdown?
I'm good, actually. Yeah, thank you. It's obviously a bit quiet, but no, I'm doing all right. Thank you.
Good. So you launched the business last year, I think?
Yes, last September.
Yeah. What's been the best thing about striking out on your own and ploughing your own furrow?
Well, I think obviously having the flexibility to work how and when and where you want is a massive bonus. And being in charge of your own destiny as well, as much as you can be at the moment, obviously, but that's been great. But I mean, really, it's mostly been getting to work with, you know, so many really great people, actually, so many like-minded people. Because, you know, when I was employed, I worked with a great team there, but the benefit of this is you get to, you know, work with lots of different organisations, with lots of different people. So, you know, I'm meeting so many people and doing so many different things. You know, the work that I'm getting the chance to do as well, it's so varied. You know, one day I could be writing a financial plan for a client. The next day I could be putting together a training program for a new paraplanner in an organisation, or I could be, you know, drafting a template report for somebody or for myself. So it's, you know, it's really enjoyable having such a variety of things to do. But so I'm enjoying that, along with the challenge, obviously, of, you know, dealing with being a brand new business and learning how to be, you know, the finance department, the HR department, and, you know, the marketing department all at the same time as well. It's been like you know, I loved it, really, really enjoying it. It's, you know, absolutely the right thing for me. So it's just, there's nothing I don't like about, you know, running my own business at the moment. So touch wood, it'll stay the same. But yeah, it's just, all of it's just been brilliant.
That's fantastic news. And I guess a lot of people on this call will be empathising with wearing different hats, whether it's HR, marketing, finance, etc., and actually doing the day job. It's an interesting time right now. How do you think outsourced power planners such as yourself can help support the professional community in supporting their clients?
Well, I think really it's just keep doing what you're always doing, you know, just make sure that you're there for them, that you're available for them. You know, I know a lot of planning firms have probably seen a slowdown in, you know, in work, which is the same for everybody, but obviously it must be really concerning. But you know, paraplanners are a versatile lot, and, you know, they're still going to be there to give you technical support if you need it, help with technical queries. They're still going to be there to, you know, support you with whatever you need, really. You know, be a sounding board to, you know, to have a chat through some advice maybe, or something like that. But I know a lot of outsourced paraplanners get involved with planners' annual reviews as well, because, you know, obviously they're still going ahead for most businesses, but albeit, you know, virtually. But, you know, a lot of paraplanners can get involved with that as well if you need the help. But, you know, I just think as much as you possibly can, just, you know, for the outsourced paraplanners, you know, the advice that I've been given, because obviously being such a new business and never, you know, I planned for it, I thought, every eventuality, but you can't plan for this at all. So, you know, obviously it's been a worrying time for me being so new, but the advice that, you know, wiser people than me have been giving me is just, you know, keep doing what you're always doing. Just, you know, I know it's, you know, everybody's using the term, but it is business as usual as much as you can be. So just make sure that you are still there for your clients, because, you know, planners are still there for their clients. So why wouldn't we be? So, you know, yeah, just keep on doing what you've always been doing. And, you know, I'm sure, you know, hopefully everyone will be able to ride it out, because, you know, things will change. It's not going to be like this forever. And at some point, you know, things will get back to, you know, whatever the new normal is. But, you know, business is still going to go ahead. The world is still going to keep turning. So just, you know, hold on and be ready, really, is, you know, that's the advice that I've been given, and that's the advice that I would pass on to anybody else as well.
And were you used to communicating with your clients, the advisors and planners, remotely anyway, using Zoom and Slack and those sorts of tools?
Well, I wasn't using Zoom. Mostly it was just, I'm a bit of a Luddite really, but mostly it was just over the phone. So, or I would actually go to their offices. Some clients I actually, you know, if I'm not doing like reports and power planning work, and I'm doing consultancy work and helping out with the team and things like that, your best place actually being in the office. So obviously this is, you know, kind of put an end to that. So we've been having to find, same as everybody else, been having to find new ways of actually communicating with people. So I think I've had more Zoom meetings obviously in the last 2 weeks than I've had in my entire life, which has been great. But yeah, it's just, you know, finding a way through it really. But I'm still, you know, calling people, still, you know, speaking to people as much as I possibly can, just to, you know, help support them as well. So yeah, it's just more of the same really, more of, you know, more business as usual, I suppose.
I had a telephone call yesterday. It felt like a novelty rather than Zoom all the time. You're also a non-executive director at the PFS, the Personal Finance Society. I think everybody would be interested to know how you got involved with that, and what you found most interesting about that role.
Well, I got involved because I'd been on the Personal Finance Society Paraplanner panel since that started back in March 2015. It's just crackers to think we're 5 years down and we're still, it's been 5 years since that started. So yes, I've been working with the people on there, and I thought we'd been doing a grand job really. And then in late 2017, there was I noticed an email from the Personal Finance Society saying that they were looking for a new board member with a background in paraplanning. So obviously being on the panel for a couple of years at that point just seemed like the natural progression to apply for it. And I was obviously thrilled to be offered a place, and I joined that in March 2018 now. So I was offered it in 2018, sorry, and then joined from September that year. So I've been on it for just over 18 months now, and really enjoying it. I'm learning so much of all sorts of things, but I suppose the most interesting thing that I've got from that is just seeing just how much work the Personal Finance Society do for our profession, and the work that goes into everything that they do. Whether it's speaking and working with the government or the Treasury or the FCA, they're always banging the drum for our profession, to make sure that, that we progress, and, looking out for consumers as well. So that's been really interesting, because, not actually seeing that side of it, the level of things that they do and the amount of stuff that they've been involved with, it's just incredible really. And also, the initiatives that they've set up, seeing those develop and grow over the years as well, like the my personal finance skills for school children, and young people, and also the money plan and the Forces money plan, and the eConnect mentoring system, which I don't know if you know about. That's brilliant. I've met some, virtually met some amazing people on that actually, and really, I joined as a mentor, but I've got so much out of it just chatting with the people, and you learn so much on both sides. So that's been brilliant. So it's just seeing how many people they help, just members as well as the wider public. I'm really pleased to be able to help and get involved with that. Actually, it's been really, really rewarding, I think.
And of course, you get to work with titans of our industry, like our very own Adam Owen as well.
I do. It's an honour. It really is.
It's an honour I've had for a few years as well.
I'm sure. But I've learned so much from all the members of the board. Actually, it's just been, it's really helped me personally. I mean, professionally, obviously, I'm sure it probably does. But from a personal point of view, the things that I've learned, it's just helped me develop so much over the last 2 years, and it's just been brilliant. Actually, I really. It probably sounds a bit cheesy, but just being able to give something back to everybody that's helped me over the years, because I've been mentored by some amazing people, and just to be able to do a bit myself, and with the board and with the paraplanning community, it's just, I really enjoy it actually. Really, it's a lot of fun as well. So, it's great.
Fantastic. So we're 10 days into lockdown now. Lord knows how long we've got left, whether it's measured in weeks or months. What's the thing you're most looking forward to? Last question today. What's the thing you're most looking forward to when the restrictions have been lifted?
Oh God, seeing my friends and my family. I'm such a homebody. I really am, and I love spending time with my friends and family. And it's like losing a limb. It really is. I mean, obviously there's Skype and things like that, but it's not quite the same. And I miss my mum and dad, because they're just, bless them, they can't figure out Skype at all. So we talk a lot on the phone, but I say to them, we bought them an iPad, and my mum's like, no, I'm not going to bother with that. I'll have to do my makeup. But it's like, don't be ridiculous. But yeah, it's just seeing family and friends, and just being with people. The similar answer to everybody, I suppose, just seeing more people than the person that my partner. I'm sure he's probably feeling exactly the same way. But just getting out and meeting people and seeing people, and spending time with my friends, that's going to be, I think it's just going to be brilliant, really. That's it.
Yeah, I think it's something we're all looking forward to.
Yeah.
Caroline, thank you for that. Thank you for that, Caroline. That was fascinating. Really, really pleased to hear from you and the work you're doing at the Peer Fest. It's fantastic. Adam.
Thank you, Caroline and Phil. I'm just getting over titan of the industry. I've been called many things, but you realise how old you are when people start referring to you as titan or anything of that ilk in actual fact. So just a quick footnote really in terms of something to look out for later today. We've got a great additional webinar this morning at 10 o'clock. So we've got Rob Stevenson, who is going to be talking about developing your career strategy. So members will be able to find that on the Slack group in terms of the link to there. So if you've got time this morning, it's definitely worth heading over to that. And now it comes to me to introduce our fitness focus session with Steve Martin. Good morning, Steve.
Morning, Adam. How are you?
Very good indeed.
Morning,
now, Steve,
everybody.
you've got a big job today because we haven't got a Friday, a Good Friday session. So you've got to fill our minds with 2 weeks worth of fitness focus. So take it away.
You know you're going to regret that, Adam, don't you? So rather than just give you 1 week's worth of challenges and instructions, I'm going to be giving you 2 this week. So morning, everybody. The fact that I'm going to share my screen with you means you don't have to look at my sweaty face anymore, but it only seems appropriate on the basis that I'm giving you these tips that I'm actually grafting myself also. So for those of you that were here last week, you will recall that we looked at this triangle of training, rest and recovery, and nutrition being the building blocks of creating performance, well-being and health, and really our focus being about well-being and health rather than performance at this stage. So last week's challenge was for you guys all to get up at the same time every day in order to help improve your sleep. How did that go? Anybody drop me some comments, whether they did it, they didn't do it, whether it worked, whether it didn't work. Fire me in some comments on that and I shall keep you moving on. Oh, so we're getting up at the same time but going to bed later and later. People trying it. 8:29, I'm loving that. Just in time for the morning commute. Okay, cool. So the consistency is definitely helping. What I've got for you here is just to have a little look at the NHS advice around how we then actually start to sleep better and how we prepare to go to sleep. So winding down being a critical stage in preparation, and Tom, if you're going to bed later and later, maybe you need to establish a pre-bed routine. So they suggest a warm bath, but not too hot, writing your to-do list for the next day so that your brain doesn't play with those things during the night, some relaxation exercises, which does not mean a high intensity workout, some relaxation CDs, presumably if you wish to be murdered in your sleep by your partner. So I would use some headphones for that. Read a book or listen to the radio. But as we know, the fundamental thing we need to avoid doing is this: sticking our devices in front of our face right up until the point that we go to sleep. So this week's challenge, twofold. Firstly, we're going to try and set a consistent bedtime. And we're going to try to follow some sort of routine in preparation for that. So some sense, if nothing else, just reduce the amount of blue screen device use just before we go to bed. If we can do any of the other stuff, then so much the better. Matt Aitchison's recommending reading a book. That always works for me. Maybe we could combine 2 of the features today. So you could read Chris's book immediately prior to going to bed. Either you stay awake and you absorb all the useful information, or you fall asleep and you achieve my task of sending you to bed at the right time. Okay, so that is our task for the next 2 weeks, to try and get some consistency both around when we go to bed and some sort of sensible routine to try and improve the quality of our sleep whilst we do that. So last week, I challenged you guys to eat less of this stuff and more of this stuff. How do we get on? I know Adam Owen has been eating nothing but vegetables for the last week. Anybody else give it a go? Anybody find any creative ways? Oh, 5 out of 5, tremendous. Well done, Rebecca. Ran out of meat. Yeah, well, that helps. Much less carbs. Awesome. So it's just a broad indicator. Any of you that have lost any reasonable amount of weight will know that one of the easiest ways is to reduce your crappy carbs and eat some more vegetables. But actually, it applies whether you're trying to maintain your weight or even if you're trying to put some weight on. Getting more of that good stuff into your body is definitely a great start. I've got a couple of cheats for you. So if you're not doing a very good job, the very best substitute in a powder, shove it in a glass, green supplement you can buy is called Athletic Greens. It's recommended by Tim Ferriss and lots of other people who use it consistently. It's really, really expensive. But if you decide that actually you want the goodness, but you don't want the effort, that's a bit of a cheat for you. Okay, so moving on to what are we going to try and do this week. So Ben Mudge, you guys probably know that I do some charity raising for cystic fibrosis. Ben Mudge is another cystic fibrosis. He's got cystic fibrosis. He's also a PT, and he also doubles as Thor. His advice is the most important thing if we're trying to improve our nutrition is firstly adherence, secondly calories, and thirdly protein. So obviously adherence, don't start something ludicrous because you're just not going to stick to it. Secondly, you could debate all day and all night what macronutrients, whether we should have more carbs or more protein or more fat. But broadly, if we achieve the rough amount of calories that your body needs, there's a decent chance that you can achieve whatever you want with your weight. As I say, that could be to put weight on, just to stabilize your weight whilst we're in lockdown, or maybe to trim up at the same point. So if you want to find out how much food you should actually be eating and how many calories you're burning, there's lots of resources available on the website. So one of them is called MyFitnessPal. This is me. You can bung your information in there. It will spit you out a base metabolic rate. So it reckons that 1,648 calories a day is sufficient if I never get out of my bed. Obviously, as soon as you start to move, your calorific need goes up. But for most people, they get a little bit of a shock of how little calories they do actually need to eat to continue to function in a day. So that's in myfitnesspal.com. There's a more sophisticated one called calculator.net, which allows you to include your body fat. So if you're particularly lean or particularly not lean, you might want to adjust those generic figures. And when I do that, that was my attempt to draw a circle. Apologies, I'll find the proper circle thing another day. That raises it to 1,847. So all my years of exercise has allowed me to eat 250 calories more chocolate before I go to bed every night. So why am I telling all of this? There's a simple principle. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So my challenge for the week, for this week, is to simply log what you're eating. Two ways to do it. MyFitnessPal has a free app where you can go on and log your food. If that doesn't work for you, pen and paper will work perfectly well. Don't try and change anything. Just simply take a note, or Fitbit apps, Adam's saying. Just simply start recording it. If you record it this week, then next week, you would have the opportunity to have a look at it and see if you could maybe improve it. And by improve it, all I really mean is try and get more fruit and vegetables. You all know what the good stuff looks like. I know that the cream egg I eat every day I shouldn't eat, but I'm probably going to keep eating it because it improves my compliance. So that is your nutrition challenge for the week. Very quickly on sport, because we're running out of time. I remind those of you that are enthusiastic, exercises, be a bit careful at the moment. I am ignoring this because I have been in complete and total lockdown and haven't been out the house for 3 weeks. So the likelihood of me having any bug is absolutely zero. But for the rest of you who are still exposed, do some moderate exercise. Don't overdo it, because by overdoing it, you're weakening your system. And I have 2 exercise challenges for you this week. Well, for this week and next week. This week is a little circuit of press-ups, star jumps, also known as jumping jacks, sit-ups, burpees, and air squats. So 1 minute each. See how many you can do, and then we'll try it again at some other point during the morning commute to see if you've made some progress. And then for next week, if you're feeling up to it, this was sent to me, and it ruined me for about 3 days because I did it in the most difficult way that I possibly could do. But this is an NHS Hero Award. So CrossFit is very big on trying to do exercise workouts to pay respect, usually to fallen soldiers. But in this case, it was a workout to respect the NHS. The principle being you try to do 12 rounds because the NHS workers are doing 12 hours of work. Handstand push-ups or press-ups, devil press or burpees, weighted squats or not weighted squats, double unders is skipping, or just normal skips, or 48 star jumps if you can't do it. So the aim is to do 12 rounds, but the objective is to do what you can that feels comfortable. So 2 little workouts for you. One of them should be fairly straightforward. The other one's a bit harder. Listen to your body, do it at the rate that you can, and enjoy it. So that's your challenges. Get up and go to bed at the same time. 1 week food diary, and then try and improve it the second week. And then a bit of the exercise, 30 a day, and see if you want to include those challenges. That's me. Apologies for overrunning.
Thank you, Steve. No problems at all. A couple of things through the chat, actually. Jennifer Ellis is climbing Everest during lockdown, 95 floors every day for a month. So sounds amazing. Well done, Jennifer.
Wow.
And Rohan's asking, Steve, what's an air squat? Can you tell us what an air squat is?
Just a squat without any weight on you. So just a normal squat. So bum to 90-degree angle to your knees, and then back up again without any weight. Excellent. Oh, there you go. Matt Aitchison's piled in as well. It's just a squat without weight.
Super stuff. Steve, thanks very much. And
thanks, guys.
We'll see you in a fortnight. Thank you for that.
Indeed.
So in next week's show, we've got interviews with Gary Hale, and we've also got Marcus and Clem coming on the show for a joint interview. We've got regular features, including tech focus and coaching focus, and we've got a special pre-Easter show. We've got crafting ideas, gardening tips, the whole Easter 9 yards there. Phil, have you got anything else for us today?
Yeah, just to add in that no shows on Good Friday next week or on Easter Monday. On the following in the following week, Adam's going to be releasing some highlight shows with the best bits so far, and some pre-recorded interviews with some special guests. So don't miss out on those. I think that brings us to the end of today's show. Does it, Adam?
It does indeed, Phil. Yeah. So have a great weekend, everybody. Stay safe, and we'll see you on Monday morning at 8:30.